Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel, and here we are on a very blustery but at the moment sunny spring day here in Australia. And I've brought you to this location because, well, I just wanted to stop by the side of the road and see this gorgeous canola crop over here. Springtime here in Australia, we get these beautiful crops of this yellow carpet all around the countryside. But that is not the focus of today's video. I want to take you to another location just down the road from here, and today we're going to talk about low level lighting for our nightscape photography. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, here we are. This is our subject, and I came here 2 nights ago to shoot this gorgeous old wheat silo out here pretty much in the middle of nowhere. But I'll tell you what, it is blowing a gale here today, and you can see from this grass in the foreground it was pretty much like this the other night as well. Not quite as windy, but it made it very difficult to shoot this foreground because everything was just moving. But the silo itself, rock solid, and I'm going to show you how I took these shots, but more importantly, how I lit the silo using low level lighting. So let's get into it. Oh wow, the conditions here today are really hard for recording because of the wind, but I'll do my best. Now I've got a bit of shelter here in the back of the car, but I want to firstly run through the lights that I use for my low level lighting. Now, and before I do that, I want to explain exactly what low level lighting is. So for a structure like this, it's very difficult to get lighting on it because it's just so big. The advantage I do have though is that I'm able to get close enough around it to apply some lighting, and what I will do is I will use these video lights. They're actually floodlights. You can see the LED panels, and I've showed you these plenty of times before. These are a Z96. They've got 96 LED lights in there, and they're dimmable. So low level lighting essentially just simply means that you put a light such as this on a very low level and leave that light on the subject for the full duration of the exposure. So for the shots that I shot here the other night, pretty much all of them were between 10 seconds and 15 seconds. So that's not a long exposure, but you could do much longer if you wanted to for the foreground. And what I did here, I put them up on light stands, so you can see I've got one here on a light stand. I did actually use the orange gels, so you'll notice these have a removable orange gel. When they're bare like this, they're at daylight white balance, which is about 5500 Kelvin. Once you put this on, it's a full CTO gel, CTO meaning colour, temperature, orange. That becomes about a 3200 Kelvin. And I left that on because I like the warmness that it gives to this building. Now there's a lot of corrugated iron on the structure over there, and also the concrete silo itself, which is already a bit of an orangey colour, so I didn't mind warming it up a little bit. Not only that, I had my white balance set to about 4100 Kelvin in camera, so that balances that out a fair bit. Now, so that is what low level lighting is. These are the lights I used. You can use other lights. Now, just to show you, recently I bought this little panel, and this is a dimmable LED light. As you can see, it's about the same size as a Z96, much thinner, so it's easy to put in your pocket. And this particular one dims down to about 1%. Now, one of the criticisms I have of a lot of light panels is that you can't dim them right down. And my experience with using any sort of lighting on Nightscape images is that you need that light level to be quite low, otherwise everything just blows out. So these aren't too bad. It's a cheaper version of a LumeCube panel. That's pretty much what it is. Doesn't have the phone app, but that's okay, it suits me because I don't like phone apps on anything, to be honest. I like to have manual controls, and this is quite good. There is another one here which I bought. This is a Viltrox RB08 LED light panel, a little bit smaller than the other one. This one only goes down to 10%, but it's useful as if you need to light something at a little bit brighter intensity, which I don't often, but sometimes I do, and this wasn't very expensive. By the way, both of these lights I bought on eBay, so they're not that expensive if you look around and shop around. All right, so now I'm going to show you how I actually set the lights up to light this building up. Okay, now of course the first thing that we want to do before anything else is work out our composition. So I came here a week or so ago and scouted this location before I came to shoot, and I worked out that it's facing west. Now the Milky Way core is stretching right across that western sky, so of course this is the angle I'm going to be shooting, pretty much across that way. Now here where I am in the southern hemisphere, the Milky Way is huge. It fills up the whole western sky. You cannot miss it. And so the challenge though sometimes is to get the main core of that Milky Way behind the structure. As you can see, it's really tall, and I couldn't get the camera up any higher, so I was using a 20mm focal length lens, but I determined that I could shoot some panoramas and also perhaps some single frame compositions, and that's exactly what I did. Now, because this structure is just so massive and huge, I walked all the way down to the end, near the end of the southern end, to put a light stand with the Z96 on it. So what I did, I just set it up here, made sure it was nicely firm in the base, put it right up, pretty much as far as it'll go, something like that, if you can see that, something like that. And essentially what I'm doing there is I'm side lighting, or almost backlighting, this end of the building. And you can see that behind me, hopefully you can see, there's a nice beautiful round tank here. And what I'm trying to do with the light is to get the light to kiss the side of that, and the light wraps around. Now, as far as how bright the light is, well, essentially I had this light on pretty much its lowest setting. And you might think, when you're here looking, you can't see much until your eyes adjust a little bit. So the light itself isn't doing very much, but with a long exposure at 15-second shutter speed, that's just enough light to give that beautiful amount of light. One of the things most people do is put way too much light on their subjects and blow everything out. So this is my first light. I'll show you what I did with the others. Okay, so for my second light, I've come to the north end, and you can see the face of the silo here. Now, remember, with all of these, my camera's going to be over there. So I'm getting an angle, pretty much a 90-degree angle away from the camera on both of these lights so far, and that's what I want. I'm basically cross-lighting, one this end, one right down the other end. So I've got this on another light stand, as you can see here. Just sit it down here, low down to the ground, facing up. So I had to tilt this one up a fair way because that silo is so huge. From my camera position over there, I can't see the railway line because it's way behind all this grass. Can't see a thing, so it didn't matter if I didn't light this up. I was more concerned about lighting both of these silos that you can see here on the end of the building, and that worked quite well. Also, the other benefit of having this light down nice and low here is that it's hidden from the camera, or fairly reasonably hidden from the camera. And if I capture a little bit of light from here, I can easily just rub it out in post-production. So that's what I did. Now, for some of the photos, I only used those two lights. For a few of the others, I put one more light over there, so I'll show you what I did with that one. Okay, so it's springtime here in Australia. And as you can see, there's long grass absolutely everywhere here. This is classic snake territory. And so when I was here the other night, I was treading very carefully because you couldn't see much in this grass here. Thankfully, I didn't see anything. I'm sure they're around, but they probably heard me coming. I made a lot of noise. But anyway, this is where I put my third light, just here, which is closer. And the idea of that was to light up some of this foreground. Now, a few of the shots that I took just had a little bit of light at the front. So in some of them, there are actually 3 low-level lights. Some of them, there's only 2 low-level lights. Now, what I decided to do initially was some panoramas, and the reason for that is because the Milky Way is just so huge, and these silos are also so huge, I just couldn't fit everything in. So I decided I wanted to shoot various configurations of panorama. I was really happy with the compositions I was getting, so I decided to shoot some about 7 shot panoramas side by side in portrait orientation. I think I shot a 9 shot as well, and I also shot a triple row 30 shot pano, all from the same, roughly the same side, not exactly the same camera position because I wanted to vary it a little bit. But the panos here look fantastic, and one of the things I really enjoyed was the fact that it was a bit like this, clear initially when I got here, but just after I got here and I'd started shooting, I'd already done a few panos. For the last one, the clouds started to roll in and I could still see the Milky Way core, and underneath were these beautiful bulbous clouds. I don't know what you call those clouds, but they look fantastic with just a little bit of long exposure photography and panorama stitched together. I think they look absolutely fantastic. Now, as you might be able to see here, there was a bit of a storm activity in the background, and I can see today, I think there's going to be storm activity later on today as well. And I was able to capture just that little bit of time lapse to show what that looked like. It was absolutely beautiful, just lighting up behind the silos here. But while I was here, I decided to do some stacked shots as well. So single camera position, same lighting. So in other words, I left the lighting exactly the same. It was going all night. So I was here for about 3 hours, maybe, and the lights didn't change. They were on for the whole time. And that made it really easy for me because I didn't have to change anything at all. I could move my camera around and get different compositions, but the actual lighting on the building remained the same. And with low-level lighting, that's pretty much how it works. But anyway, my single camera position tripod shots just about here. I shot one at, I think 12 exposures, 20mm f 2.2. 10-second shutter speeds at ISO 6400. And then I shot another one near the end of the night, which was a 15-shot stack. And I just blended those together in Sequator. Now, I didn't do any extra foreground lighting, so all the lights I had here was used for everything. And I stacked them in Sequator, and that worked really well for both the night sky, the Milky Way, and the foreground. A lot of people ask me about stacking in Sequator, and I've found that you can stack the whole shot in Sequator. All you need to do is make sure you freeze the foreground, and then it works out pretty well. Okay, well, I decided I'd better shelter from this horrific wind. It is an absolute pain at the moment. But anyway, I've got myself one of my favourite rum balls. Went to the bakery on the way out here, so I'm going to have that. Grab myself a cup of tea. I'll tell you what, doesn't matter what the weather condition is, it's just a great time to sit and relax out here in the middle of nowhere with a cuppa. And so to put all this into a nutshell, low-level lighting is the concept of using light panels such as this, and they don't have to be expensive necessarily, just so long as you can dim them down to a pretty low level, in various spots around your composition to light them up, and that's for the full duration of your exposures. Now, that's why you need them to be very low level. Now, there are some techniques that you can use. If your light is a bit too bright, you can just wrap something over. I've done this before. Excuse me. I've used a towel, something like this, and just put over the top, and that dulls down the light considerably. Come back. You can do all sorts of things. Whatever you've got to use at your disposal, you don't have to go out and spend an absolute fortune on top dollar lights. Now, these light stands as well, I just bought them on eBay. They're not expensive. Now, you can get away without light stands, but I'll tell you now that the light stand makes things a whole lot easier, especially if you need to get your light up a little bit higher off the ground. I warn you though, when it's windy like this, you need to weigh the light stands down because they will blow over, even with a little light like this on the top. So, low level lighting, is it worth doing? Absolutely. It's well worth doing, and it adds a lot. As you can see from the images I shot at this location, it works a treat. It's all about the placement, and I talk about this all the time in my videos. The dynamics of any image when it comes to lighting is all about placement. Anyway, hope you get something out of that. And so once again, I really appreciate the fact that you've come out here with me on location to go through these techniques today concerning low-level lighting. Now, I hope you get something out of this video. I'd love you to like and subscribe to my channel if you'd feel led to do that. And I really appreciate those of you who leave comments down below, because I really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about this brilliant subject of nightscape photography. All right, well, I'll look forward to seeing you next time, somewhere under the stars. I'm looking forward to a bit of an adventure, so hopefully I can get some really good content to share with you guys. I'll look forward to seeing you then. Have a fantastic week.